Hello and welcome to the agenda. I am Ajay Kaul. In this program today we will be discussing about the growing rift between Pakistan and Saudi Arabia. Pakistan's obsession with Kashmir is making it fight with every nation that does not play ball with it. In the latest development, it has picked up a fight with its oldest ally and supporter, Saudi Arabia. The reason is that Saudi Arabia does not believe Pakistan's claims on Kashmir and is refusing to convene a meeting of Organisation of Islamic Conference, that is OIC. Pakistan has publicly criticized Saudi Arabia for this refusal, and as a result, the most powerful Arab country has demanded return of a large chunk of its aid, which is $1 billion out of $3 billion, and has reportedly stopped oil supplies. So, where will Pakistan's unreasonable obsession with Kashmir lead it to? We will discuss this in the agenda today with our two special guests, former Indian diplomat Ambassador Dr. Deepak Vora and senior Pakistani journalist Hamza Amir. But before we start the discussion, let us have a look at this small report.
The relations between Pakistan and Saudi Arabia are witnessing a sharp deterioration thanks to Pakistan's obsession with Kashmir. The slide in the relation between the two countries, which enjoy close ties all through, has been accelerated by Pakistan Foreign Minister Shah Mahmood Qureshi's stinging attack on the Saudi Arabia recently. Qureshi, while venting frustrations over lack of international support on Pakistan's Kashmir rant, slammed Saudi Arabia for not convening meeting of Organisation of Islamic Conference over the situation in Kashmir. Qureshi went on to threaten that Pakistan would leave the OIC and form a separate bloc of Islamic nations. Saudi Arabia, which have been helping Pakistan with critical financial assistance, hit back by demanding return of $1 billion out of the $3 billion provided in loans. According to reports, Saudi Arabia had also stopped oil supplies to Pakistan. It is anticipated that Saudi Arabia will take more punitive actions against Pakistan. So clearly, Pakistan has hit a dangerous chord by criticizing Saudi Arabia, since it is not only the financial assistance provided to it by the most powerful nation of the Gulf, but also considering the fact that millions of Pakistanis work in that country. Saudi Arabia, like all other members of the OIC, had been frustrating Pakistan's efforts to get the Kashmir issue a central place in its deliberations. OIC earlier used to make observations on the Kashmir issue, but lately most of its members have maintained that there is no need for any third-party interventions and the matter should be resolved by India and Pakistan by themselves. In the process, Pakistan finds itself isolated, particularly at a time when it is under close international focus for its support to terrorism. It is the time for the Pakistani leadership to accept the reality that Kashmir issue is not saleable anymore internationally. Bureau Report.
So let's begin the discussion. My first question is to Hamza Amir. Please tell me, why is Pakistan fighting with Saudi Arabia?
Well, see, Pakistan and Saudi Arabia's relationships goes back a long way, and this current rift that is coming into light has come because Pakistan's campaign on Kashmir since August 5th, 2019, last year, was banking to a great extent on the response of Islamic countries going forward. The Organisation of Islamic Cooperation did not yield that kind of support towards Pakistan, which Pakistan was expecting. Pakistan was also seeking support at the United Nations Security Council from the Organisation of Islamic Cooperation related countries. That did not come through. And then Pakistan was also unable to even table a resolution on the United Nations platform. So that is why Pakistan has not been very happy with the performance and the support that the OIC has rendered towards Pakistan on Kashmir. And not to forget, there's one more important issue, that Pakistan, during the United Nations General Assembly session, the Prime Minister of Pakistan, Imran Khan, had actually said that Malaysia, Turkey and Pakistan will be forming an alliance to actually, fight Islamophobia and other initiatives going forward, representing the Muslim world. And that is something that is completely confronting the OIC itself. So Saudi Arabia has not been happy with Pakistan's approach when it comes to, making separate alliances of Muslim countries that should be parallel to the OIC itself. So that is why I think Saudi Arabia has been very stiff on Pakistan. Saudi Arabia has already said that they need $1 billion back. Pakistan returned it, taking it from China. And they're also expecting to be getting $2 billion more back. That also is going to be supported by China in the coming days. So this is probably the reason why Saudi Arabia is not happy with Pakistan's approach when it comes to, creating alliances against the OIC. Kashmir is a secondary issue that Pakistan is not happy with. Saudi Arabia probably, is not looking that closely into that, but definitely a separate alliance of a Muslim world that counters OIC is not something Saudi Arabia is going to accept.
So let me now turn to Ambassador Vora. Ambassador Vora, how do you see the situation? Is it Pakistan's frustration over Kashmir that it is not getting enough support, as Hamza just now said?
Thank you, Mr. Kaul, for this opportunity to learn from you, a person of your experience. And to my Pakistani colleague, I can't see you, sir, but I heard your voice. So may I just say welcome, sir. It's a pleasure to interact with you. You very rightly pointed out right in the beginning, Mr. Kaul, and I've always appreciated the depth of your knowledge and the extent of your wisdom, that Pakistan has made Kashmir its one-point agenda, central to Pakistan's survival, so to speak, its raison d'etre. Politically, internally, domestically, externally, it's Kashmir, Kashmir, Kashmir. But in 73 years, not much has been achieved. Mr. Hamza, if you'll forgive me, it does remind me of Alice in Wonderland, the Mad Hatter syndrome, where this fellow, the Mad Hatter, I'm sure you've read it too, we all did in school, suffers from what we call bipolar disorder and post-traumatic stress disorder. Simple madness, repeating in an obsessive, compulsive way for 10 years at 6 p.m. I have to go for the celebration of a character called Unbirthday. And he is stuck there, no sense of time even as he's getting old. 73 saal ho chuke hain, 73 years, nothing has moved. In the 70s, Pakistan was in some ways the guardian of Saudi Arabia against any external or internal threat. We all know what has been done. This is very easy to find out. During the Iran-Iraq war, also there were about 20,000 Pakistani troops that were stationed in the kingdom. I believe that the downturn began after Pakistan a few years ago refused to become part of the Saudi-led intervention in Yemen, whatever the reasons. Rightly, wrongly, I'm not passing a value judgment. You didn't, and I believe that in our interactions with our friends from the Organisation of Islamic Cooperation and the Saudis in particular, that they were very unhappy. Now, last year, the Saudi Crown Prince, who is really the person who calls the shots in that kingdom and is a super guy in his own estimation and in that of some others, they also agreed to build the $10 billion oil refinery in Gwadar, apart from giving you some money. That also seems to be at the moment not positioned to take off. What I'm trying to, sir, really get across here is that it's now, the way things are moving, it's not going to be easy to kiss and make up. Say, buddy, sorry about this, let's be friends again. Because the Islamic card, I believe, sir, has been overplayed. Islam is not uniting countries anymore. It's become a reason for division. You know this better than I do, sir. I don't need to talk about it. First thing here, sir, when you want Saudi Arabia to get involved in Kashmir, please explain to me, sir. I've gone to Riyadh and I've tried to understand, what does Saudi Arabia gain by becoming entangled in China-Pakistan efforts to contain India? Unko kya fayda hai isse, sir? I don't see any fayda. If I were a Saudi, I'd say, listen, buddy, I have no interest. There's a large Indian community in Saudi Arabia. I have excellent relations with India. We are investing in India. They're buying oil from us, etc., etc. They are a kind of, if we don't want to get too friendly to China, United States might withdraw, but India is always there, a solid power to help us. So what does it gain by antagonizing India. I'm not sure, sir, what your foreign minister did, and I have a lot of respect for him as an individual. Was he speaking to a domestic audience? Or was he actually expressing his frustration that nobody, not even Pakistan's so-called friends in the fraternity of Islamic nations, 57 members of the OIC, not even those countries stand by him? I mean, there was this idea of the Islamic BBC, which you referred to, sir, to counteract Islamophobia. Turkey, Malaysia, and Pakistan decided. Well, the Malaysian fellow who was 95 years old, he lost his job. Turkey's present president doesn't seem to be the most popular guy in the universe. And therefore, what we are seeing is that Saudi Arabia is probably not going to get involved. It's signs of a deeper malaise. If you had involved Saudi Arabia in domestic development in Pakistan, perhaps. But the moment you bring them in to antagonize India, why should they do it?
So, Hamza, as Ambassador Vora asked, what will Saudi Arabia gain by getting entangled in this issue? So, is it business taking precedence over religious card?
Well, firstly, I don't think Saudi Arabia will ever indulge itself into the issue of Kashmir between India and Pakistan, because it rightly pointed out, it's got nothing to gain there. But yes, it's got everything to gain or lose in when it comes to its relations with Iran, and at the same time, it's also, banking on Pakistan when it comes to Afghanistan, and also securing its borders when it comes to Yemen. So Pakistan, has, unfortunately enough, even in the past, has been playing this give and take game, even in Afghanistan. And I think it also flexed its muscles when it came to Saudi Arabia as well, not knowing or probably not understanding how the Arabs operate. Arabs do not operate like the West. They are very responsive and very quickly, aggressively responsive. And this is exactly what Saudi Arabia has shown Pakistan. OIC might not be, might not have been the right platform, or probably have not been supportive of Pakistan when it comes to its stance on Kashmir. But definitely that does not mean that, our foreign minister would come up and say that if OIC does not do a conference on foreign ministers, that we will opt for any other country and do that conference over there. That was something that was a tipping point. And not to forget, see, Pakistan, Turkey or Malaysia, this alliance has got no benefits coming into Pakistan as for now. While with Saudi Arabia bailed out Pakistan with $3 billion, banked its money in Pakistani accounts, gave it oil on deferred charges as well, which has been stopped just now. And at the same time, Saudi Arabia has been bailing out Pakistan for a good long time. There are over 4 million Pakistanis working in the Saudi Arabia and the Arab countries itself. So that is a huge number, bringing a lot of money to a country that is already cash strapped. So I don't think that Pakistan, might have tried flexing its muscles, but definitely it's not going to take a second step forward. In fact, it is going to be a damage control policy from Pakistan. And Saudi Arabia has had its ups and downs with Pakistan, but I think they will be able to mend the fences one way or the other, because that is the only option for Pakistan to go forward.
So, Hamza, if we see the developments, Pakistan is not being supported by OIC. Pakistan is not getting any support at the UN on Kashmir. So, is it a time for Pakistan to reconcile and accept that it is a dead issue? It's going nowhere.
I think Kashmir is an issue that has been dead
it
for
may
a very
suit
long
your
time,
domestic audience, but it doesn't work. It doesn't work because, continue.
Yeah, I was saying that, see, Kashmir issue has been pending for a very long time, and no matter, I think, and now I'm pretty sure that when Pakistan announced its official map, countering India's official map, it actually, went on to clarify to the world that, this issue is something that both these countries are going to fight it out till the last breath. Because they will not let go. United Nations or OIC or any other agreement would not really matter, because this seems to be a fight for territory and not for the right to self-determination of the people of Kashmiris on both sides of the border. So I think Pakistan is going to hang on to that and try to, take it forward with different kind of approaches. Unfortunately enough, our foreign policy nowadays has been running on paper cuttings, and that seems to be, what the way Pakistan is moving forward. So that goes on to show that even Pakistan on Kashmir would not let go of the matter. At the same time, it would try to convince and go on, going off to Donald Trump and other countries, trying to have a third-party intervention to get some way forward when it comes to mediation on Kashmir. However, I do believe that Kashmir is an issue that is, way past, a mediation or a table talk. But yet, this is the only, positive movement that can be done anywhere, anytime it happens. But I don't think that, Pakistan is going to let go of Kashmir issue that easily, because it just cannot. It cannot afford to. It is a political gaining momentum point for Pakistani political parties, and at the same time, there is a lot of sentiments attached in Pakistan. Anyone who talks against Kashmir in Pakistan is definitely not winning the elections. So that is something that how it has been in Pakistan. So I don't think it's letting go of Kashmir to that easy.
So Ambassador Vora, so as per Hamza, Pakistan establishment will continue to whip the dead horse. But how do you see, as you have been a diplomat, how diplomatic statement do you see the jingoism by Shah Mahmood Qureshi when he says Pakistan is the only nuclear Islamic country will get out of OIC and all that kind of jingoism? How do you see that?
So it seems to suggest to me a certain amount of frustration that he's not getting any support within the Islamic Ummah. He's not getting any support from the United States. Now he's saying, on the one hand, because the OIC has said, look, clear off, friend, we are not interested. Then he goes off to the United States and you better mediate and do something about it. They've tried this earlier, sir. The Prime Minister of Pakistan, with all due respect, came back and he said, Donald Trump has agreed to mediate. It's like I've won the World Cup all over again. And promptly there was a denial from Washington. We also said we don't accept anything like this. But Mr. Hamza, I appreciate and admire your candor, your openness, your willingness to listen to another point of view. Sir, this OCD with Kashmir, this obsessive compulsive disorder with Kashmir will have to stop, because I have traveled across the world. I've been 47 years in diplomacy, special advisor to 3 prime ministers in Africa. To many others, I interact with them. There is Kashmir fatigue across the world. And they just tell us, listen, guys, go sort it out. And we say, well, we would like to do something. Well, no, you are already in the United Nations. Why don't you go and sort it out? Then we tell them that the United Nations system has been stymied. Nothing is moving forward. They say, well, sort it out. We have no interest. And the example that they give us, sir, you've heard of a country called Ethiopia. You've heard of Eritrea. When Eritrea separated from Ethiopia after the referendum in 1993, the 2 countries were locked in a massive confrontation. There was a massive war. Thousands of people died over a little strip of land. Finally, when the new Prime Minister of Ethiopia was sworn in, he walked across the border, told Isaias Afwerki, his Eritrean counterpart, buddy, what were we fighting about? Afwerki says, I have no idea what we were fighting about. So they kissed and made up. Now, that kind of leadership, that kind of thing would have to come out, that one side, and we do believe, and this is what the international community tells us, that Pakistan has to say, there is more to my existence than Kashmir. Just as for India, it's development, it's, the Look East policy, it's whatever we are doing, we've moved ahead with the temple, whatever we are doing. There are many other priorities. Hunger is a priority. Underdevelopment in certain parts is a priority. We may be the 2nd largest producer of food grains in the world, but we are already a water-stressed country. Water is a major issue. You are a water-scarce country. There are so many issues that we can work on together, provided this OCD with Kashmir goes. It's not helping you any, sir. It's not helping anybody any. I believe within the OIC also, sir, you are not going to find anybody other than the Sultan of the new Ottoman Empire, President Erdogan, willing to support you. This is our assessment. They keep telling us privately, distinguished journalists like you, thought leaders, political leaders, intellectuals tell us, we've had it with this issue, guys. Get the hell out of here. Let's talk about something else. Now, how do you deal with this? So therefore, Mr. Kaul, to answer your question, my experience in diplomacy teaches me that being obsessed with one issue is never good for a country, sir.
So, Mr. Hamza, if we talk about the jingoism of Qureshi, Isn't it, I mean, if you make such statements at international level talking about another country like this, isn't it that it will isolate Pakistan further? Already it is isolated over the issue of supporting terrorism. So, as Mr. Ambassador Vora pointed out, there are so many social issues, developmental issues which should concern more Pakistan, isn't it?
Well, respectfully, I would say that yes, Pakistan does feel the heat when it comes to, it's the way its diplomacy has operated, especially in the recent episode of Shah Mahmood Qureshi's statement, going against the OIC. But at the same time, I would also remind that, when Prime Minister Imran Khan came into power and he's reached out to the Narendra Modi government, he also spoke on the same lines that, there's much more to India and Pakistan that can be worked out. It's the two most important nations of the region can actually have a table talk, and Kashmir can be on the agenda, terrorism can be on the agenda. India wanted to talk on terrorism. We said, yes, let's talk on that as well. But the problem where it came to the same dead issue that even respected ambassador was mentioning, the Kashmir dispute. We would not let go of it. India would not let go of it. But no matter how Pakistan or how good Pakistan may act against those elements who are, operating on Pakistani soil or from Pakistani soil to spread unrest in India.
India does not seem to at least agree on the fact that yes, there is something being done. We can think of the forward movement. Unfortunately enough, this is where Pakistan and India have been, fighting like
absolute lost neighbors.
So if you talk about
this is something that I think that as hurts both the countries severely, but unfortunately enough, none of the two sides seems to be taking any positive thought to be given into this matter. That is unfortunate for both Pakistan and India.
Okay, as a senior journalist, how feasible do you think, like Pakistan is talking about creating a separate Islamic bloc, or maybe Turkey, Malaysia? I don't think Malaysia knew the current dispensation is inclined to get into it. So, is it feasible? How impactful will that bloc be if you create a parallel to OIC? I feel anything. It will be feasible or impactful at least.
Well, frankly, I don't even see the very existence of this bloc because, Turkey, Malaysia, there was Mahathir Mohamad, who's not in power anymore. He was already 95 years old. And then you have Turkey and Pakistan. All of these three countries do not have that strong economic ties with each other to be able to initiate anything of that strength, especially at a time when you have countries from the Arab countries and the OIC present. That is a very strong force to reckon with because this is something that I don't believe even is going to come into existence. However, Pakistan has been cuddling gestures with Turkey in the recent past. Their dramas are being played on the Pakistani television, huge viewership being going on the state television. We seem to be very active in communicating love gestures with each other, but that does not define anything of an alliance when it comes to the OIC. Because on OIC, we are bound and we are attached on financial terms as well. As I said, over 40 lakh people, 40 lakh Pakistanis are working only in Saudi Arabia. If you combine the rest of the Arab countries, it is a huge number. And then Pakistan, has got a lot at stake when it comes to Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia has a lot that depends on Pakistan's involvement. So that is something that is, relates to regional security, the very presence on ground in the region. While Pakistan, Turkey, Malaysia, I don't see that alliance. It's a very weak thought even, to think that an alliance can be formed that would actually be able to even stand parallel to the OIC. So I don't think the very existence of this particular alliance is going to be ever, be formed.
So Hamza, may I ask a supplementary question? Since you talked about the dramas of Turkey being played and which I also read about and tracked, isn't it bizarre policy of the Pakistan government, like they are trying to revive the Ottoman Empire and maybe outsourcing their Islam to Turkey? Isn't it bizarre and worrying for Pakistan? and people like you?
It worries me, sir. Yes, I would say that. Why? Because I only take this, is a kind of as I said, a cuddling gesture. That and a historical thing that relates to Turkey is being so highly appreciated in Pakistan, and then it's been washed. It's a different viewpoint that Pakistanis, and it's been how it's been portrayed in Pakistan. But yes, it worries me because these small gestures are actually, attracting a very different response from the Saudi Arabian and the Arab countries as well. Like just recently, on one small statement, I would not say it's small, but yes, one very reluctant or very irrelevant statement from the foreign minister resulted in an immediate demand of $1 billion from a country that is already struggling, to stand on its feet when it's on economic terms. So I think these things worry me when it comes to the future of the country on economic terms, and at the same time, knowing the fact that all relations in the world right now are banking on economic relations, Pakistan cannot afford to have any kind of a miscalculated effort towards any other country that would actually tip off Saudi Arabia, because that is something that we cannot afford to see happening in the country itself. It's already a very strapped economy in Pakistan. We are on a negative growth anyway. So I don't think, Pakistan would definitely be realizing that. And I think it is going to be now damage control when our people will be talking to them and trying to make them satisfied that, whatever was said should be forgotten. गलती हो जाती है. So I think this is how it's going to be sorted out, because currently these gestures worry me more. I don't see them as bizarre; it's just normal thing. But yes, in this scenario, it worries me.
Ambassador Vora, we are running out of time. Just last brief comments I will ask you about, since Pakistan is turning away from Saudi Arabia and now it is kind of becoming over dependent on China. So is there a message for Pakistan from you? How reliable is China?
Well, remember a country called Tibet? Remember Xinjiang? See what happened to them. I would urge you to be very, very careful. And I'd also request you, Mr. Hamza, I'm very, very impressed with your moderation. Sir, do tell your people, get out of this obsession for parity with India, for equality with India. It's not going to happen, sir. My economy is 10 times yours. My per capita is twice yours. I'm the third largest economy in the world, the fourth most powerful military in the world. Not my figures.
Ambassador, I asked about China, whether Pakistan should...
That's precisely what I'm saying. Yeah. So get out of this obsession for parity, because China is not going to give you parity with India, sir. Therefore, what China will give you, sir, and what we are seeing, our perspective from New Delhi, is the colonization of Pakistan. We've just seen some reports that Chinese workers beat up your soldiers who were sent there to guard the Chinese. I mean, we find this totally unacceptable. In your own territory, China rules the roost, calls the laws, calls the shots, makes the laws. I would find this unacceptable. So don't trust the Chinese, sir. Please don't.
So Pakistan should not trust China, and maybe should take wise decisions for its own benefits and maybe give up its obsession with Kashmir. Thank you, both of you, for participating in this debate. This is all in the agenda today. Thanks for watching. I will be back with another important topic tomorrow. Till then, goodbye.